Hey guys, JB here from Alpha Wolf Consulting, coming to you today again with another episode of Understanding Thyself. And this episode is all about understanding how do I believe, or how to believe. So it's a deep dive into understanding belief. Okay, so it's important that I've learned throughout life is that belief is the vital aspect of seeing beyond the known. So being able to feel what is about to happen in life or what is going to happen in the future is very important. For me personally, especially when pushing further than I've ever known, pushing for achievement, pushing for the goals that we want in life. So for me, being able to, one, cultivate belief, but to understand the belief at not a high level, but understanding my belief allows me to feel what is about to happen to me in life without even being able to see it in my external environment. So for me, in my personal life and in my career and my life's direction, belief has always played the role of being my North Star, of showing me the direction to travel even if I don't see the markers in front of me. And it's very important because I've lived with belief and I've lived without belief. And living without belief is just looking at the external environment. So unless the external environment is telling me that I'm succeeding, I will never feel it. Whereas living with belief is, even if everyone around me and my environment is telling me to quit and give up, I feel like it's going to work. I feel like it's going to take root. It's going to succeed. I can't tell you why, I can't tell you how, I just know at some point in time, if I continue on this path, it will reach success. And that's an important thing because that's what belief allows me personally to do, is to be able to ignore the markers of my external environment that tell me to quit and give up, and to focus in on what am I trying to accomplish in life? What am I trying to achieve? And how do I just stay on that path? Because the truth is, in life, regardless of, the path, there is no, set path to achievement. There is no set path to the goal. All we must do is pick a path and start moving. That's it. There isn't, everyone out there is going to tell you about all these shortcuts and about, it's all about, if you do this, this and this, if you have a fucking morning routine, if you work 80 hours a week and all of this, that you'll achieve your goal. It's not guaranteed, because the thing is, the only thing that causes you to succeed or fail in your goal is belief. Because once we lose belief, what is the point of taking any action further? So, to understand this is to understand that, a lot of people, what causes them to die isn't a disease, isn't age, isn't a circumstance. It's that they just choose to let go. They choose to stop holding on to their life. They believe that they're dead. They believe they're dead. Now, you can look at this in scientific studies, and back in the 1900s, they did a lot of these gruesome studies where they made people believe that they had died, and the consequence of them believing that they had died was that they ceased to operate. Their body and their brain ceased to function in a way. So just to the same, throughout history, there are people who have survived unsurvivable, untenable situations, and they did it because they believed that they could. So Belief is one of the most important fundamentals of life, because our belief is what gives us purpose or direction to keep traveling forward. Once we have no purpose or direction in our life, we cease to move forward in our life. So if you look at your own life, you know, it's pretty prevalent that we go through these stages when we're trying to move towards our ideal life, or our ideal, you know, dream of what our life should look like. That when we are moving towards it and we believe that we can achieve it, everything seems tenable, everything seems like it can be. But as soon as something happens, or we don't get the results that we want in life, or, you know, we're not seeing it, once that belief slips, then it becomes an insurmountable task to be able to continue to push on. So you can see this in your life in relationships. If you believe that the person you are with is who you want to be with for life, you will do whatever is required to stay with them. But as soon as your mind shifts and ceases to believe that they are the person you need to be with, it becomes untenable or difficult to progress through with that relationship, because it seems like every action is meaningless. And that's a funny thing, because, you know, throughout my life, I have always sought meaning. But the truth is, in life, there is no meaning. The only meaning in my life is the meaning that I create. Just like in your life, the only meaning in your life is the meaning that you create. So when we understand this, whatever I believe is being destined for me becomes my meaning. Whatever I believe is within reach is reachable. Whatever I believe is out of reach of me will forever be outside of my reach. Why does this happen? Because belief is how we regulate ourselves. So if I believe without a shadow of a doubt that in a survival situation I can walk 100 kilometers to safety, in any survival situation I will be able to walk 100 kilometers to safety. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Doesn't mean that it's going to be fun. Doesn't mean that it's not going to be the most painful experience of my life. But the thing is if I believe it's achievable, I can keep moving forward, even if it's one step at a time, because that's how life is. Life isn't a race, it's a marathon. Achievement isn't a race, it's a marathon. To achieve in life, it's not about getting there first, it's about getting there. Just like achieving in career. It doesn't matter if you're the first one across the line. Everyone is running their own race. So if you cross that line, you have succeeded. If you fall short of that line, you have failed. Now, that's the funny thing about, life, is there is no achievement or failure. So the way to understand this is you are the one in control, just like I am the one in control of that line. And that's what we do with belief. Belief, we just bring that line closer and closer and closer so that things are easier to reach, easier to achieve. And the way we do this is through our perspective. Okay? Through resetting and shifting our perspective every day, every moment, every week, depending on how it is. So, to understand this in goal achievement, what we want to do is we want to take a massive goal that is untenable and we want to break it into these incremental stages or milestones that are very achievable. So for example, if I'm running a marathon and it's 45 Ks, my milestones would be every 2 Ks. So every 2 Ks, I've reached the milestone, I've reached the finish line, and it resets and we go again. Because what I'm able to do is I'm just able to focus 2K to 2K to 2K. After 20 iterations of doing this, I will be at 40Ks. Like it's just like that. Whereas if I'm counting, 1K to 40Ks, that is quite difficult because I have to wait 40 kilometers before I can feel that achievement, before I can feel that success. So metaphorically, well, not metaphorically, but with our perspective, what we're doing is we're just shifting those celebrations to break it up from one big celebration to 1,000 mini celebrations. And that's how we move and progress through, so that we're constantly feeling this sense of achievement and success day after day after day after day, even if we are, by external validation, failing. Even if by external validation we are standing in place and spinning our wheels, if I see the results that I'm looking for, or I see the milestones and achievements that I'm looking for, even if it's not visible to the outside world, like I'm still able to feel that, to hold it, to achieve it. So like, for example, in my life, in following my desires and my dream life of creating content and sharing knowledge and wisdom, I'm able to break it down to shift and alter my perspective so that whatever I'm succeeding in is my marker for success, and whatever I'm failing in doesn't matter because I'm not measuring it. So for example, if we take YouTube, well, we've got three main areas that we're looking at. We're looking at the views. Are the views going up? We're looking at watch time. Are people watching and viewing for longer periods? And then we're looking at subscribers. Okay? So, like in any moment in time, I can shift from one of those three metrics to measure growth and success. But if I set it as I only measure success from views, what would happen is, if I'm not getting views, even if I'm getting increases in subscribers, increases in watch time, I'm failing because my mind is set on views are the metric for success. So that's what we have to do, is understand that separation between you're the one in control, just like I'm the one in control of setting what are the metrics we are targeting, what are we measuring. Okay, and this is really important because we want to pick the ones that are succeeding and then choose to believe in them and ignore the ones that are failing. And why do we do this? Because if I'm focused on what is failing, I am not going to progress forward, because all I'm seeing is a problem and I'm trying to find a solution to that problem. But the problem is, that is an outcome. So that's the issue that a lot of us have in goal achievement, is we tend to put all of our focus onto the outcome problem or the outcome solution rather than the work that equals the outcome. So, how do we move forward in life while failing by all other metrics, but still feel abundant, but still feel successful, but still feel like we are progressing and becoming better? It's by changing and shaping where our focus goes. Because those three metrics for YouTube all come off one piece of work. So that's the thing. To get more views, we're not changing anything to get more views than we are to get more watch time, than we are to get more subscribers. They are three different metrics based on the one action taken. So instead of us measuring all three metrics for the one action, we look and analyze at the metrics to see which is the one that is moving forward in terms of, are we getting more views, or are we getting more watch time, or are we getting more subscribers? Whichever one of those is progressing forward is where we put our belief in this working. So we're having to do it, because a key thing to understand is belief and faith are the fuel for our intuition, and action is the spark that ignites it. So when manifesting, when seeking achievement, we need faith, we need belief, and we need to take action towards it. The more faith and belief we have in the actions we take, the higher our intuition is. Because our intuition is something that activates on an energetic level. So we cannot see energy. I do not see the speed of the wind blowing. I do not see the rays of the sun or the heat in the sun. Like, that's the thing. I don't see electricity in the wires. But it's all there. It all holds energy. Some hold kinetic energy. Some hold radioactive energy. Some hold electrical alternating currents. So an important thing to understand with that is that our belief and faith is something that we cannot see, touch, or feel. But it's there regardless. It's within us. Okay? So our belief is the main one. This is what we believe this is going to work. I believe that, the content that I create is going to impact and resonate with people. By me believing that, I will move towards that outcome. Now, how do I move towards that outcome? Just by believing it? By believing it is possible, and by believing that it is real, that outcome that I see can be achieved, I will put in the effort as if it has already happened. So believing is just understanding that if I feel like the actions I'm going to take will succeed, I will take those actions with success in mind. So instead of me being concerned and using up additional energy, worrying about, is this action going to work? Is it worth time? Stressing and releasing all these stress hormones or biochemical responses into my body, okay, which drain my energy because my body's got to flush and sort of get rid of those, biochemical responses. So when we're in a highly stressed state, our body has to release additional chemicals that break down the stress chemicals. Okay, so we're having to do twice as much work, whereas if we're able to just believe in the action and not focus on the negative or what is not working, because that's a big lie in life, is that by focusing on what isn't working, we can find what is working. When that's not the case, by focusing on what isn't working, we're hyper-focusing on a problem without having any vision for a solution. So just by seeing a problem, we do not see the solution. Because, if I'm highly stressed or agitated or anxious about a problem, what happens is I tend to hyper-focus and I get narrow vision on just that problem. So to understand this in context of relationships, let's say you were with someone and they ended it. And they said, I'm not attracted to you anymore. I don't see you as being attractive for me. I just don't feel it. By hyper-focusing on the problem, we cease to see any solutions, because the problem isn't actually real. Like, we're seeing it as, and it's the same in every other area of life, okay? It's the same in career, and it's the same in goal achievement and all of this. The problem isn't real because the problem, we only see the problem as being, a problem that needs a solution because we desire or want what is on the other end of it. But the problem in our lives is that problem is usually based around our ego. So I don't know about you guys, but if someone tells me that I'm not attractive and they're not attracted to me, I cease to be attracted to them. Because why would I want to be attracted to someone who is not attracted to me? Like, that's the solution. That's the thing. If I'm striving in my career to get recognition and achievement in a certain area, and that certain area isn't working, like, I don't have to get recognition in that certain area. That's the trap of the problem and solution. Is because just because a problem comes up, it doesn't have to be solved. Like, just because there's a solution to the problem, I don't have to overcome that problem. I can just shift my attention and move in a different direction. So Bruce Lee said this, or it's in Taoism, but Bruce Lee remarked about this: be like water. When water flows into a cup, water becomes the cup. Okay, when water comes up against an obstacle or a blockage, water moves around the blockage. So water doesn't say the blockage is what I want in life, I must overcome the blockage. The water just shifts and moves around it because the water is in a state of flow. And that's how our lives are. I don't know about you, but with me personally in life, I feel the most satisfied, happy, and fulfilled when I am progressing forward. When I am halted, then I start to feel stress, anxious, anxiety. I start to feel negative and things like that. And the reason is because I enjoy being in a state of motion or a state of flow, like water. So that's the problem, is that when we don't believe and we just look at our external environment and we live our life vicariously through our ego, and we refuse to accept that the ego is not me, then what happens is the ego tends to control and direct our movements and direct our focus. So if you ever find yourself obsessing and fixating over someone who has ended a relationship with you, just know that's your